In this video, we're going to learn about stories about comparing. So we'll look at story problems that compare two different quantities or numbers. First, we need to look at what the word compare means. So compare means looking at the difference between two or more things. So we're seeing maybe what's the same or what's different, and specifically what's different about the numbers. Some keywords that we'll be looking for in comparing problems are how many more and how many fewer. Usually when you see these phrases in story problems and it's asking you to find how many more or how many fewer, you can use the comparing strategy to help you solve. So let's look at a story problem. Here's an example. Ellie had 9 books and Cole had 5. How many more books does Ellie have than Cole? I always like to start by looking at the keywords, and remember that was how many more or how many fewer. So I'm going to look for those two phrases, and I see them right here. How many more books does Ellie have than Cole? So when I see that how many more, I can tell that I will be comparing. Next, I like to look at the important numbers so I know what numbers I'm working with. I see that Ellie had 9 books and Cole had 5. So I'm going to circle those so I know that they are important. They're the numbers I'm focusing on. Next, I can start doing a strategy to help myself. One of my favorites is drawing a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture to represent what the story problem says. I like to draw circles because they're quick, easy, and I can see them very easily. So I'm going to draw circles with E's in the middle for Ellie, and it says that Ellie had 9 books. So I'm going to start with that. So Ellie had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those 9 circles with E's represent the 9 books that Ellie had. Next, I'm going to draw how many Cole had, and I'm going to draw them right underneath. So Cole had 5, it says here in the story problem. So underneath, I'm going to draw circles with C's in them for Cole's books. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The letters on them just help me to keep them straight, as well as the colors, so that I can easily see the difference between the two. I don't always have colors to change, so writing the letters helps me keep track that the ones with E's are Ellie's and the ones with C's are Cole's. Next, as I'm comparing, I'm going to draw lines in between the ones that have a buddy or that match up. So you'll see that when I drew my circles, I lined them up nicely so that I don't have to cross over. So I'm going to draw a line down to the ones that match, like this. So I see these two, one from Ellie's and one from Cole's. They would match up to have a partner. I can see that those two match. They line up. These two have a match. These two have a match. And these ones. Now that I'm there, though, these extra ones off to the side, there's no more books that can match up. Cole doesn't have any more. So these ones would be the extras that Ellie had more than Cole. So these extras over off to the side are how many more Ellie has than Cole. So I see that there are 4 circles. So I know that Ellie had 4 more books than Cole. Another way to look at this is I can use subtraction. So when I'm using subtraction, I'm going to start with the bigger number. So that's what Ellie had. So I'm going to have 9. Then to figure out how many more, I have to subtract how many Cole did have, because I'm looking at the difference between the two. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to subtract 5. Those are the yellow ones. So 9 minus 5. I can look at this a couple of different ways. I can count backwards. If I want to look at it at a part-whole box, I can use a part-whole box over here. Thinking back to our lesson before where we know that 9 would be the whole, it's the biggest number, and 5 is the part that we know. That's how many books Cole has, and we want to know how many more. That's the other part. So as I use that part-whole box, I know that the other part is 4. I also know that 9 minus 5 is 4. So we have 3 different ways to show that Cole had 4 fewer, or Ellie had 4 more books than Cole. Let's take a look at another example. Kenley got 10 pumpkins and Jamila got 4. How many more pumpkins did Kenley get than Jamila? At this point, you can pause and see if you can solve it on your own. Try drawing a picture using an equation or using a part-whole box. Did you give it a try? Let's try it together and see if your strategy matches mine. So let's look at the problem again. Kenley got 10 pumpkins and Jamila got 4. How many more pumpkins did Kenley get than Jamila? I'm going to start by looking at those keywords. Which keywords are they? Yep, you've got it. How many more is the keywords to know. So we know it's going to be a comparing problem. Next, I'm going to look at the numbers. Which numbers should I circle? You've got it. I need to circle 4 and 10. Those are two important numbers that I will need to know. Next, I'm going to draw a picture. So remember, I like to draw circles, and to keep everybody's pumpkin straight, I'm going to use the first letter of their name inside because I don't always have colors, and it kind of wastes some time if I'm going to color them in. So I just draw a circle with a letter in the middle, and that helps me save time, and I can still use my strategy. So Kenley had how many pumpkins? 10. So I'm going to draw 10 circles with K's in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are Kenley's 10 pumpkins. Next, I need to think about how many Jamila got because I want to figure out how many more pumpkins Kenley got. So if I'm going to compare them, I need to see all of them out there. Jamila got 4, so I'm going to draw 4 circles with a J for Jamila. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we have everybody's pumpkins out there, if I'm comparing and drawing a picture, I'm going to see which ones match up and have a buddy or a partner. The leftover ones that don't match up are how many more pumpkins Kenley had. So I'm going to draw a line in between the ones that have partners. Jamila had 4, so I can match those pumpkins that Jamila had to some of the pumpkins that Kenley had. The ones that don't match up or have a partner are the extra ones. So I see those ones are right over here. That tells me that 6 pumpkins are left over. So Kenley had 6 more pumpkins than Jamila. Let's see if we can use an equation. Remember, when I'm using an equation and I'm subtracting using the comparing strategy, then I'm going to start with the bigger number, which is 10. I'm going to take away the part that we know, which is 4, because that's how many are partners. And then we can see how many we have. If we are using a part-whole box, my whole is 10. The part that I know is 4, and so I want to know what the other part is that gets to 10. So we know that that would be 6. So I also know that 10 minus 4 equals 6. Today, as you're working, you're going to show your knowledge of using comparing problems. You can use whatever strategy works best for you to show that you know how to solve these types of problems. Remember, if you need to watch the video more than once, please do that so that you can understand how to solve the story problems.